Today I'm going to review a Nixie watch by Cathode Corner. Cathode Corner is the company that produces this watch. And this watch is a little bit different in design and is off the beaten track, so to speak. It's a very neat watch, and as we'll go through it, you'll see how it works. This specific Nixie watch is produced right here in the United States in the state of Arizona by Cathode Corner and can be purchased on cathodecorner.com. I purchased this myself. This is not a paid promotion. However, this is a very neat watch, and this has been around for quite a few years. This is actually the same watch that Steve Wozniak of Apple fame wears and shows to others. And here, as you can see, I actually unscrewed the crystal portion of this watch off, which is something you can do very easily, of course, to both set the time as well as to replace the battery yourself. Here you can see the Nixie Tubes up close, and it's actually manufactured with a glass covering, of course. It's a glass tube, which contains actually all the numbers already preformed as little metal numbers in the tube itself, stacked on top of each other with a wire mesh around it. I'm not getting into the physics of all this. However, the way it works is basically when it decides to choose, let's say, the number 7, 7 will light up, or 8 will light up, depending upon which one you decide to activate through the electronics. And this makes for a very, very interesting way of showing the numbers. The Nixie tube was made in the 50s to be able to display numbers, of course, in mostly industrial applications. And quite frankly, by the time LED, LCD technology came out, these kind of became obsolete. However, these days you can still get a lot of Nixie tubes that are new old stock from the Soviet Union, which apparently manufactured them up until the 80s, I believe. Now, this version of the Cathode Corner Nixie watch is powered by a CR2 lithium-ion battery here to the right of the Nixie tubes. Now, there is a newer version that Cathode Corner has released that uses a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, which you can charge up sort of like many of the devices using a micro USB cable. And to set the watch, here we're going to zoom in on the two buttons on the bottom, as you can see, set and advance, and I'll demonstrate it a little bit later using a live action, so to speak. If you hit the set button, it'll allow you, if it goes into set mode, and you can choose from 24-hour to 12-hour display mode, and advance, of course, is the button in which you advance. Interestingly enough, you can also set the tilt angle at which the light displays. Well, what does I mean by that? Well, the watch is not always on, like an LED watch, as if the watch were constantly on, it would take too much energy to power this thing. So, this watch has an accelerometer. When you tilt at a certain angle, first it'll display here the hour, for example, and then second, it will go ahead and display the minutes. And it'll advance the seconds if you keep it there, and actually, in fact, if you keep it at that certain angle, it'll display the seconds forever, as far as I could tell, and pretty much drain your battery very quickly. So here's the watch live, so to speak, and as you can see, while I tilt it, and again, this device has some kind of a tilt angle sensor accelerometer that basically tells what angle you're setting this at in terms on your wrist. So as you can imagine, as you tilt it towards yourself, it displays the time. And of course, it displays the hour first, followed by the minutes, and followed by the seconds. And here I'm just kind of sort of going back and forth. So there's 7:58, and I'm not quite sure why. Sometimes it'll display the hour and the minutes, and then eventually the seconds. But like I said, if you keep holding it at a certain angle, it'll display the seconds forever. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and unscrew the watch crystal, which is a mineral crystal. And this watch is by no means a small watch. It's actually a relatively large watch, and I'll talk about the dimensions in a second. But here I've gotten it off, and this is very user serviceable, so to speak, in terms of changing out the batteries and setting the time. And here I'm just, again, showing a little bit of a better close-up without the glare of the mineral crystal on, sort of how the Nixie tube lights up. Now, if you press the left button, the set button, what happens, it'll put it into set mode, and here it goes into set mode, so it says 12, and that's either 12 or 24 hour, and you can use the right button, advance, to advance it. And here I'm just kind of going from hour to minutes, and this is actually a tilt angle here, and basically, again, to change the time, you would use the right button, advance. Since I've got it set at the correct time, I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to sort of mess everything up. But anyways, that's pretty much how you set this clock, and of course you put it back into sort of time-telling mode, and it just goes forward and tells the time when you set it to the correct angle. And now I'll go ahead and put the top cover back on, and this is actually water resistant. It takes quite a while for it to screw down, and so that in itself I think helps with the water resistance. And on the back, which I'll show in just a few seconds here, there is an area where it looks like you could take it apart, but again, according to the website, it is water resistant. And here it says Nixie Watch by Cathode Corner. Of course, that is the serial number for this specific watch I purchased. It comes with a nice little leather band, which of course you could swap out for something else. But I've obviously is right now keeping the original and I kind of like the band. It wears nicely, but it is a large watch, like I said before, and here I'll show it to you in a second. Now this watch is not for the faint of heart. It is pretty hefty, and it's 55 millimeters in diameter and 20 millimeters in thickness, so it's pretty big. Now the watch is comfortable to wear in my opinion, but I do like large watches, and I don't mind something that is a little bit heftier in size, so to speak. Now again, we'll go back to looking at the Nixie tubes. These Nixie tubes, just to give a few more technical information, they are the B5870 type, and they can be replaced if they are broken, and all you need to do is send it back to Cathode Corner, and supposedly they will replace it for you. The case is made of aluminum, and the glass again is mineral crystal, which should be relatively scratch resistant. Not as nice as sapphire, but not horrible either, and is used on many watches. Well, I hope you enjoyed my review of the Nixie watch, which is produced by Cathode Corner in Arizona. There are other folks who are manufacturing Nixie watches. I believe there is a company out in Ukraine who are making this type of watch. It's, of course, got a different design to it. And also in recent years, there are folks out there who have actually started manufacturing new Nixie tubes as well, which is kind of interesting to see a resurgence in interest in this type of technology. Well, again, hope you enjoyed this review, and have a great night. Thank you.